Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Warmies. I'm your host, Mike Gould, as we get prepared for today's game, this evening's game. It feels like the afternoon, but it's sort of a bit of both. The Calgary Flames taking on the Los Angeles Kings, the second of four meetings between these two teams this season. The Flames won their first meeting in Los Angeles back on December the 13th in overtime by a 2-1 final score. And now they will go at it again at the Crypto.com Arena in LA today. It was Blake Coleman and Morgan Frost getting the goals for the Flames in the previous game against the Kings. And now we'll just have to wait and see what happens this afternoon/evening. We'll tee up here from the Sports Interaction studio. Lots to get into. Lots that we're looking at from a Flames standpoint, even as we get into the warm-ups here. What is the status of Nazem Kadri and Blake Coleman? Will they both be playing for the Calgary Flames in tonight's game? We'll find out. Is anything close on the trade front? If either of those guys is held out, maybe that's an indication that there is something close. We didn't see anything earlier today because the Flames on the road, an earlier game, no skate. So now we just have to wait and see here as we get closer to puck drop. We'll have a look at the early betting lines from the folks over at Sports Interaction. It is going to be a game that is in the Kings' favor as far as the odds are concerned. They're at minus 155. The Flames at plus 130. Over under a little bit lower, as you might expect with a game with a couple of very low-scoring teams. One interesting statistic, these are the two lowest-scoring defensive teams in the NHL this season. Coming out of the Olympic break, the Flames ranked 31st in the NHL in defensive scoring, only ahead of the Kings, who ranked 32nd. And then the spread, plus 1.5 at minus 200, minus 1.5 at plus 165. So, you look at the last time these two teams played, the spread was on the minus side, the over-under certainly under, and it was the Flames that ended up coming out on top. Flames are coming off a victory a couple of days ago against the San Jose Sharks, who are actually in action right now as we speak against the Edmonton Oilers, a game that has gone very back and forth. And late in the third period is currently in the Sharks' favor, 5-4. The Oilers have tried to mount a bit of a comeback in the third period of that one. And now the Flames continue their road trip against the Kings today and tomorrow against the Anaheim Ducks before they return home. They'll be back home on March the 2nd, and maybe that's when we'll start to see things really cook as far as the trade deadline is concerned. It's been interesting seeing some of the reporting that's been coming out from various different insiders, whether it's Elliot Friedman or Pierre LeBrun or what have you, talking about how there are a number of teams on the market right now who are content to get through this weekend and see where they stand at the beginning of a new week and really dig into whatever might be out there once next week begins, once we get a little bit closer to the trade deadline on March the 6th. It's less than a week away, but at the same time, it also feels like it is quite a ways away, even still. The Flames have 4 games left before they get to that point, and they'll play the first one of them here today against the LA Kings. Of course, as we mentioned, the Flames are coming off a victory against the San Jose Sharks a couple of days ago, and that has put them into an interesting spot as far as the standings are concerned. We've seen some of the teams around them in the standings win some games of late. We've seen a couple of them lose, but mostly in the return from the Olympic break, the teams at the bottom of the standings have been getting points. If you look at it, the New York Rangers had a game earlier today. They came from behind a 2-0. They trailed in that game. They won in a shootout by a 3-2 final score. The St. Louis Blues coming off a win. The Vancouver Canucks went to overtime the other night. Chicago is in action right now. The Flames, they've won back-to-back games. They are at 28th in the NHL standings with 54 points through 57 games. Really, there's a clump of 5 teams there. Vancouver, obviously, in last by a fair amount. And then St. Louis, the Rangers, Chicago, Calgary, and Winnipeg, all separated by 4 points. That's where we stand. The difference between 31st and 27th in the National Hockey League right now. Worth noting as well, the Edmonton Oilers just got a power play with 1:12 to go in the third period of their game against the San Jose Sharks. Couple of relevant games in progress right now as we prepare for the start of Calgary versus LA here on this Saturday afternoon. The New Jersey Devils up 2-0 on the St. Louis Blues after 40 minutes of play at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis. Of course, St. Louis near the bottom of the NHL standings, but then so is New Jersey to a certain degree. The Columbus Blue Jackets up 1-0 on the New York Islanders. Chicago, the Blackhawks up 1-0 on the Colorado Avalanche. That's a bit of a surprise. That game at the Ball Arena in Colorado. And then we already mentioned a couple of games have gone final. The Rangers beating the Penguins 3-2, and the Philadelphia Flyers toppling the Boston Bruins by a 3-1 final score. A couple of relevant ones this evening as well. Vancouver in Seattle to take on the Kraken. That one at 8:00 p.m. Mountain Time. So certainly one to watch as far as the bottom of the standings are concerned in the NHL. So we'll have a look at the preliminary line combinations, I suppose, courtesy of dailyfaceoff.com. And this is mostly a reflection of what we saw the other night against the San Jose Sharks. These lines pretty much the same. Nazem Kadri coming off a big game against the Sharks, currently penciled into the Flames' top line against the LA Kings. And again, we're still waiting on a concrete update as to who will be in, who will be out for the Calgary Flames today. Nothing has been tweeted out or posted as of right now. That second line with Backlund, Sharangovich, and Coronado stays intact, as does the third line with Morgan Frost, Blake Cohen, and Matvei Gridin. Was kind of interesting to see. I mean, Coleman's still in the lineup, obviously, not back with Backlund. They've kept Sharangovich there. But at the end of that game, they did put Coleman back on that line with Backlund and Coronado, and that helped get the Flames the empty net goal they needed. That fourth line with Johnny Beecher, Martin Pospisil, and Adam Klapka also staying the same for now for the Calgary Flames. Now, if we go to the defensive side of things, this was kind of interesting. Ryan Huska actually said that he was looking at trying something new for today's game against the LA Kings that is not reflected in what we're seeing here. The Flames finished that game against the San Jose Sharks with a couple of players switched. They switched Mackenzie Weegar and Zach Whitecloud. They had Kevin Ball with Mackenzie Weegar, and they had Yan Kuznetsov with Zach Whitecloud. And by all indications, that will remain the defensive alignment in the top four for the Calgary Flames to start today's game in Los Angeles, with Joel Handley remaining with Zane Parekh on pairing number 3. So a bit of a different look for the Calgary Flames on the defensive side of things. Once again, Ball with Weegar, Kuznetsov with Whitecloud, and Joel Handley with Zane Parekh. Let's have a look at the LA Kings side of things as well, because a couple of changes that we have seen with the LA Kings in the last little while, a couple of injuries. So we're not expecting to see Yoel Armia in the lineup for the Kings in today's game. And we'll get to the defensive side of things in a moment as well. But also no Andrei Kuzmenko. Kuzmenko will not play tonight. He is week to week with a torn meniscus. Is expected to miss probably, around a month while dealing with that knee injury. So no Kuzmenko and likely no Yoel Armia in the lineup for the LA Kings today. That top line, they've got Alex Laferriere, who is a winger by trade, playing with Adrian Kempe and Artemi Panarin, on the top line for the LA Kings. Anze Kopitar on the second line with Corey Perry and Warren Fogle. Third line, Quinton Byfield and Trevor Moore. Not really sure who will be playing with them. Looks like maybe it'll be Samuel Hellenius who draws in, a second rounder from a few years ago. And then Alex Turcotte with Jeff Malott and Taylor Ward on line 4 for the LA Kings. Again, it's been a bit of a trying year for the LA Kings, who currently sit outside the playoff picture in the Western Conference. And they've made some changes, because we'll look at the defensive side of things as well. We saw Drew Doughty in for Team Canada at the Olympics. He will not be playing tonight for the LA Kings. No Drew Doughty in for Los Angeles this afternoon. Mikey Anderson, we expect, will play maybe with Brant Clark, remains to be seen. Drawing into the lineup for the Kings in this one is Jacob Muvarara, who is sort of a number 7 type, sort of an Oscar Fantenberg type for the LA Kings. Mikey Anderson, Edmondson, Clark, Dumoulin, Ceci, we are expecting to see in, but no Drew Doughty for the Kings in tonight's game. So just a couple of changes on that front. We weren't sure what to expect with the LA Kings over the last 48 hours after their disastrous game against the Edmonton Oilers on Thursday. It was an 8-1 final that saw the Kings just completely crumble against their Pacific Division opponents. Goals in that one from Ty Emberson, Vasily Podkolzin, Andrew Mangiapane, Connor McDavid, Zach Hyman, Leon Draisaitl, Jake Wallman ×2 for the Edmonton Oilers. And for the Kings, their only goal coming from former Oiler Warren Foegele. You know, we saw the Kings fall apart in the playoffs last year under head coach Jim Hiller. And for whatever reason, they didn't make a change. And we've gotten to this point now where the Kings, even after acquiring Artemi Panarin from the New York Rangers, it's a tough slog that they're facing here over the last 24 games of the 2025-26 season to reach the playoffs in what is not a very impressive Western Conference. So the fact that the Kings are on the outside of a pool of teams that, as it stands, I mean, you've got teams like Seattle and Utah in there. You mean that the LA Kings can't get in there with all the time they've invested in developing some of these young players? It's really tough. So I wonder what version of the Kings we will see today. It's a very big game for a lot of different reasons. I mean, if you're the Calgary Flames looking at this game, obviously you want to keep the good times rolling. You want to see guys continuing to score. But also, if you're looking at it from a tank perspective, with other teams around the league, around you in the standings, winning games and playing better, you know, if the Flames want to get one of those top two players at the top of the draft in Gavin McKenna and Ivar Stenberg, you're wondering, when do we start to lose some games? When do we start to get into the top echelon of that draft lottery positioning? So lots on the docket tonight. Some good questions in the chat, some good comments in the chat. I like this one from Fubar1982 AWOL saying, what would Mike Gould's number be if he played for the Flames? It's funny that you asked that because growing up, I always wore the number 18 playing hockey. I always wanted to wear number 8. I liked that number, but whenever I was playing minor hockey growing up, the jerseys went from big to small in order of jersey numbers. So as you got the higher jersey numbers, the jersey would be smaller. So I wanted to wear 8, but 18 was always the one. And it's been too bad because the number 18s for the Calgary Flames of the last 20 years or so haven't always been very good. Matt Stajan was all right. He came along a bit as the years went on. Matt Lombardi, when I was a kid, was definitely fun to watch, but never really blossomed into the player that some people hoped he could be. Neil obviously was horrible, probably the worst Flame in my lifetime. Beecher is whatever. Ryan Carpenter that I can think of. There are probably a couple in there that I've missed. But yeah, 18 would be the number for sure. This is a good question from Mr. Watts, who says, thoughts on Adam Ruzicka? Do you think he deserves a second chance? He had a good Olympics. He did. He had a very good Olympics playing for Team Slovakia. And he's been good in the KHL this year. I'm all for giving guys like Adam Ruzicka a second chance. He did something when he was with the Coyotes that was pretty stupid. Absolutely a bit of a lapse in judgment on the part of Adam Ruzicka. I think there is a pathway for him to come back to the NHL at a certain point, provided that he keeps his head on straight. I just don't know. I don't know if I see the NHL upside there. He has had a couple of really good seasons with Moscow Spartak in the KHL. The knock with Adam Ruzicka was the consistency and effort. And even going back to when he was with the Stockton Heat, he could never quite string 5 good games together. It's kind of the same thing we see with Igor Sharangovich to a certain extent. But with Igor, he's got a better shot. That's the only thing, is that Ruzicka coming up, he had a lot of good tools, but he never really had that one standout tool that made him a natural choice to play center at the NHL level, or even just take up one of the 12 spots. Whereas, you look at the guys in the Flames lineup right now, and they all have sort of a tick. They have a little thing that makes them difference makers to a certain degree. Yegor, Coronado, and Gridden can all really shoot the puck. Farabee is a really good grinder. So is Blake Coleman. Michael Backlund is an amazing two-way player, and he's a good skater. There's all these different little things. And with Adam Ruzicka, I don't know if he has that differentiating factor. Maybe he gets another chance. Maybe he comes over and makes a career out of it. It wouldn't be the first time that we've seen, a guy overcome challenges of his own creation and, find the way to become a good pro. And again, same thing. Do you think we should sign Radim Zahorna? I mean, the Flames, that's a been there, done that thing. I mean, he was a Calgary Flame before. They claimed him off waivers from Pittsburgh and ended up trading him to Toronto for Dryden Hunt. I think the Flames have enough guys in their system right now who are due for a look. I would like to see Rory Cairns get a string of NHL games here before we go back to Adam Ruzicka and guys like that. So not that it's a bad idea, and I could certainly see a team out there looking for different things, different stylistic pieces going after a guy like Adam Ruzicka. I don't get the sense that he is done in North America per se, but I just don't know how much sense it makes for the Calgary Flames at this point. Do you want to have a little chat about one of our new sponsors here on the show, our good friends over at Tim Hortons? It is Roll Up the Rim to Win season, and I've got some good news. I've got some really good news because Roll Up, I mean, the best news of all is that Roll Up season is back until March 22nd. It is just one of the best times of year. I mean, it's the 40th anniversary of Roll Up the Rim to Win. I can't roll my R's. Everybody I seem to know who I tell about the Roll Up sponsorship is like, oh, yeah, like Roll Up. And I can't do that. I feel so jealous. I think Tim Hortons needs to teach me. I think they need to come up with a guide on I can learn how to roll my R's. The good thing is, though, I'm learning to roll successfully in a different way. It's probably a little too zoomed out or whatever, but I have my first prize. You can see it on my screen. I got the Tim Hortons Roll Up app, and I got the road trip bundle from Journey Rewards. So I got some cents off my next gas fill up. I mean, it's just, there's so many good prizes. I haven't won with one of the cups yet. I've gotten a couple of, I got a white hot chocolate yesterday. I got a regular hot chocolate today. Not so much of a coffee guy. I do the steep teas every now and then with a double, of course. But right now I'm on a bit of a hot chocolate kick. And the cool thing right now is that if you order ahead of time using the Tim Hortons app, you get 2 times the rolls. So I will order a hot chocolate on my way to Timmy's, and I will get the hot chocolate in the drive-thru, and then I will go to the parking lot. I will roll up the cup, and then in the app, I get 2 extra rolls. So it's pretty killer. It's pretty excellent. And this whole episode of Warmies is brought to you by Tim Hortons, where Roll Up the Rim to Win season is officially back. For more info, check out timhortons.ca/rollup. Roll Up the Rim to Win only at Tim's. And after this show, I got a Boston cream donut to get through. So we will get to that point in just a moment here. In net today, thank you, Jux JC, for asking. It will be Dustin Wolf again for the Calgary Flames. Wolf coming off an outstanding performance against the San Jose Sharks a couple days ago. Wolf this year is 17, 21, and 3 with an .899 save percentage through 42 games with the Flames. He's good. He's real good. And he's going up against Anton Forsberg for the Los Angeles Kings. Forsberg, the former Ottawa Senator and Columbus Blue Jacket and Chicago Blackhawk and Carolina Hurricane, apparently, is 9-8-5 with an .899 save percentage in 24 games this season with the LA Kings. So it is Wolf versus Anton Forsberg in this game at the Crypto.com arena here today. And we've got our lineups courtesy of Derek Wills over at Sportsnet 960. And it is indeed the exact same group that we were expecting to see today with the change on defense. The only big thing. It'll be Ball with Weegar, Kuznetsov with Whitecloud, and Hanley with Parekh. So we weren't sure whether we were going to see Nazem Kadri or Blake Coleman in the lineup for the Calgary Flames this afternoon. And indeed, they are playing for the Calgary Flames, here today against the LA Kings. So there you have it. That's a look at the official lineups for today's game. We had an hour-long edition of the Warmies a couple of days ago prior to the game against the San Jose Sharks. We chatted with Ryan Pinder. We chatted with Ryan Pike. And we talked a little bit about the arena stuff. The arena is on its way. It is, the cladding, the structural pieces are going up right now. We talked a little bit about prospects as well. And, in the days since we had those conversations, we've seen 2 more goals from Ethan Wyttenbach. And the cool thing with Ethan Wyttenbach, the Quinnipiac freshman, Yesterday in the win over, I believe, Dartmouth, a couple of goals for Ethan Wyttenbach, and you should look up the first one. It's actually on my Twitter feed. Go to @MikeTGould because you'll see the Ethan Wyttenbach backhander that he scored on yesterday. That was his first of 2 goals, and it was his 55th point of the year. And with that, he broke a 26-year-old record for the most points by a freshman player in a single season with Quinnipiac. He now owns the record, and he has 3 points back now of tying Colin Graff, a current San Jose Sharks forward and a pretty good young player himself, for the all-time record single-season most points by a player at Quinnipiac any age since they entered Division I men's hockey in 1998. It is just crazy what we're seeing with Ethan Wyttenbach. It is something that nobody really expected coming into this season. And again, in the 27 now year history of Quinnipiac men's hockey, we are on the verge of seeing the most points by a player for that team ever. I would be shocked if he doesn't break that record. So it's just, it's hard to fathom. It's hard to wrap your head around. And I mean, any NCAA player who scores 60 points in a season has done something pretty incredible. To do it as an 18, 19-year-old in your very first season after being drafted. I mean, somebody pointed out to me yesterday, it's kind of like what Danny Heatley did in his first season after being, or first season before being drafted by Atlanta back in 2000. That's one thing I didn't realize. Danny Heatley was already 19 when he was drafted. Ethan Wyttenbach came into this season and he was 18. Like there are plenty of freshmen out there who go into the college ranks, have big years as a freshman, but they're 20, they're 21. And what we're seeing with Ethan Wyttenbach right now is he is about to be, unless a comet hits something, I don't know, he is about to be the first teenager to be named to the ECAC's first All-Star team since Adam Fox. The last ECAC first team All-Star as a teenager was Adam Fox back in 2017. Again, the year after the Flames drafted him. So, and I mean, Fox himself is a testament to the fact that even though the ECAC is maybe not as strong as Jason says, there can be legitimate NHL stars that come out of this conference. Case in point, Matt Coronado also played in the ECAC. Maybe not a star just yet, but a very good player who came out of Harvard, which is also the school that Quinnipiac is playing against tonight in their regular season finale. Now, Wyttenbach will be able to accumulate more points even after the season finale tonight because he is going to play in the regional playoffs. And the NCAA counts all playoff games as part of a player's single season total. So we're going to see the regional playoffs in the coming weeks. And then after that, we might see the NCAA tournament, which my expectation is Quinnipiac will get into. And we'll see maybe Quinnipiac go on a bit of a run here. They just a couple of years ago won the NCAA national championship against Logan Cooley and Matthew Nyes and the Minnesota Golden Gophers. So Quinnipiac is clearly a school, clearly a program that can go on a bit of a run here. And that's my expectation is Wyttenbach will play a very big role. There was a time not that long ago where he was, 2 or 3 points leading his team, leading the Bobcats. He's now their leading scorer by 20. He is the whole argument that, there's certain players who play on strong programs who have a lot of help. This is a guy who's doing it all himself. He's 20 points ahead of anybody else. At Quinnipiac, he is 9 points ahead of anybody else in all of NCAA Division I hockey. So it's super exciting. And the fact that the Flames have 3 guys, 3 2007 born players in Division I NCAA hockey this season who are above a point a game, and Cole Reshny, Cullen Potter, and Ethan Wyttenbach as 18, 19-year-olds, all of whom could play at the World Juniors this coming year. And I know from speaking with people around Ethan Wyttenbach, he is dedicated to making Team USA at the World Juniors, a huge goal of his and his camps for this coming season. And if he keeps on playing the way that he is, he should be a no-brainer. It's incredible. So, regardless of what our buddy Scott in the comments is saying about how irrelevant the NCAA is, it's not. It's the top stars in the NHL more often than not these days are coming right out of these Division I schools. So it's fantastic stuff, and we love to see it. And we love to see guys like Matt Vigridden and Zane Parekh, both of whom, again, will be in the lineup for the Flames against the LA Kings this afternoon. We'll get into one of the props from the folks over at Sports Interaction, looking at anytime goal scores for today's game, and 3 of the 5 are members of the Los Angeles Kings. Artemi Panarin, to his part, has done well with the LA Kings since coming over from the New York Rangers. Certainly has not been his failing, that is gotten the Kings to the point where they're not in the playoff picture. Obviously, he hasn't even been there that long, but he is their number one. He has the number 1 anytime goal scorer bet in this game at plus 160, followed by Adrian Kempe at 175. Matt Coronado and Nazem Kadri a little bit lower, plus 250 and plus 260 respectively, and then Quinton Byfield at plus 270, rounding out the top 5 anytime goal scorer bets in this game. Over at Sports Interaction, which is a trusted Canadian brand since 1997, every game is your game when you bet with Sports Interaction. Get in the action with parlay boosts, live betting, and easy deposits and payouts. Bet now at sportsinteraction.com/FlamesNation. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. Fubar 1982 in the chat asking, will we see a trade today? I have no idea. I said on the show a couple days ago, my guess is that they won't until they get back home. They get back home on March the 2nd. Just feels like the sort of situation where they'll want to get all their ducks in a row. They'll want to have everybody in a room discussing what they need to do, the pathway forward. And sure, they've had lots of time to discuss that sort of stuff during the Olympics, but the landscape changes at this time of year every hour. And I just think I think there will be lots of teams out there looking to get closer to the deadline before they make decisions. The Flames can't make these types of trades unilaterally. And it doesn't feel like there's anything in the air right now, but it could be dead wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. So that's all I got for you right now. I would like to see the Flames make some moves. I would like to see some other teams make some moves. It's been a few days now. Feels like we've been sort of caught in limbo with the whole Tyler Myers situation going on over the last few days. Nothing has happened because that's been in stasis. So it's hard to say. It really is hard to say. We'll have lots of opportunities to dive into it, including on our post-game show. It'll be myself and our buddy Ryan Pike live here from the studio on Afterburner after the Calgary Flames take on the LA Kings this afternoon. That one will be a lot of fun. We'll be going live with producer Jack at around 7:30, I suppose. It's always nice to have an early start as opposed to the 8 p.m. game against the Sharks, after which I was almost falling asleep in this very chair. So that's going to be an opportunity to discuss a little bit further what we expect with Blake Coleman and Nazem Kadri and Zach Whitecloud and Ryan Lomberg and Joel Hanley. It was interesting seeing that piece come out yesterday, I think, by Eric Francis talking about Ryan Lomberg, a player who on Francis's side he thinks is more likely than not to be moved ahead of March 6th. I plugged my piece at Daily Faceoff on the show on Wednesday, or on Thursday, I guess, about the borrowed stars, quote unquote, the players who are traded at the deadline and go back to their original teams the following summer. And with Ryan Lomberg, it seems to fit just to a T, where that's a player who teams might want to provide a little bit more energy, to provide a bit of a spark. There are teams about, who are near maybe the bottom of the playoff picture and who have maybe a couple of relatively unassuming fourth liners who just don't really move the needle much in either direction. And they want to get somebody there who has a bit more oomph to his game. And Ryan Lomberg could be a very strong candidate to help sort of reshape the mentality of a fourth line for a playoff team, where in Calgary, he's not going to get that chance. But they also value Ryan Lomberg as a piece of their roster, as a piece of their community around the team. And I think it makes a lot of sense to flip and then bring back. We've already seen Ryan Lomberg come back to this team once before. So that's an interesting one that came out from Eric Francis just yesterday. And again, Scott, what team would want Ryan Lomberg? Maybe a team that won a Stanley Cup with Ryan Lomberg a couple of years ago. There are a number of teams out there that I think would have plenty of interest in Calgary Flames winger Ryan Lomberg. So that pretty much seals it for now. 30 minutes talking about this game, Calgary versus LA. we weren't going to do another hour-long show. We didn't have as much to wrap up as we did during the Olympics. But again, we're still getting into the swing of things again. The Calgary Flames, this is game 2 of 5 prior to the trade deadline. And we will know a lot more about this group in a week's time than we do today. So enjoy the game, everybody. Enjoy our post-game show. It'll be myself and Pike once again at about 7:30 p.m. local time, recapping the game you are about to see. For my buddy producer Michael out in Toronto, and again, thank you to the folks over at Sports Interaction and Tim Hortons, where it is Roll Up the Rim to Win season. My name is Mike Gould. Thank you for tuning in. You have been watching this edition of the Warmies.
Hey, buddies. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more at